What's going on, YouTube? J2's1 here, and welcome back to another edition of After the Movies. So I'm recording this right after recording the Black Panther Wakanda Forever review, so if you want to hear my thoughts on that, you can go check that out. Basically, to sum it up, I thought the movie's just kind of alright, nothing all that bad, but nothing all that great. There's some nice tributes to Chadwick Boseman, but that's kind of... Let's talk about Eternals, a film that I realized I never actually talked about on this channel, so... a few years kind of after it came out, I might as well give a quick after the movie since Ant-Man and the Wasp comes out, and if people want to hear my thoughts on all the MCU films, you can go ahead and check them all out. So I've covered each and every one. Last one I did see, I didn't see this one in theaters. I watched this one on Disney Plus. I didn't hear very good things about it. It looked like a big snooze fest to me, and I was just I was getting kind of tired and tapped out of a lot of the MCU stuff. It just felt like even with Phase 4, just nothing all that exciting was really coming out outside of Spider-Man, and I was looking forward to Doctor Strange because Sam Raimi was making it, but aside from that, there hasn't been anything that's really wowed me or got me all that excited outside of Spider-Man and some of the directing in Doctor Strange too, because I'm a big Sam Raimi fan. I love Evil Dead. I love his Spider-Man movies, and his style is at least there to kind of do the best he can with it, but the script was kind of messy. But anyways, I'm getting sidetracked. Eternals is one that came out in, what was it, 2021 at this point, so it's like getting close to 2 years. It's a snooze fest. This is, to me, the Marvel film I rank at the very bottom in terms of the MCU because it's so goddamn boring. I think the biggest crime a movie can have is that it's boring. It's boring. There's nothing all that exciting, nothing all that inspired about it. Well, I mean, they try to go for a more of a serious, different approach to it. It feels in some ways like they're trying to do like Marvel's version of a Zack Snyder movie, but at least Snyder had some interesting visuals at times and some cool action scenes. This has some nice visuals at times, I guess, but really boring action scenes. Way too many characters, mind you. We have 12 Eternals or something like that in this film. This tries to be a big Oscar-baiting drama type film, and it's an absolute snooze fest. This thing is just, oh God, what a chore to sit through. Excuse me. So the Eternals are this ancient race of, well, pretty much gods that are there. They're not allowed to interfere with human history, they say, which is why they didn't show up for all this stuff with Thanos and all that, even though they've clearly shown that they've interfered in history. They're only able to stop these things called the Deviants, which show back up again in the present time, and they're there to do their things. They're supposed to be like this big family, and they have absolutely no chemistry with each other whatsoever. Everyone's just so boring. The only one with any bit of charisma was the one guy who was like in Bollywood or whatever. But, the leads, Salma Hayek, man, is an actress I really liked, but just not utilized well in this thing. Same with Angelina Jolie, who looks half asleep throughout this entire film. The antagonist is just, they have these celestials and all that doing their things. They're trying to signify the birth of one that was kind of fast-tracked when the population kind of doubled on Earth or whatever reasons. Kit Harington's in this thing too. There's some setups for other future Marvel stuff. I think Blade makes a cameo via voiceover as I looked it up. Harry Styles is apparently playing Thanos' brother, who we never heard about till now. And then I guess we'll follow up with it at some point. I feel like this is a movie that's going to get kind of brushed aside, and I can see why. Just, God, what a boring set. What a fucking boring movie. I just could not stand this thing. I tried. It took me a couple times to sit through it. So I'd watch it, and then like every little bit, I'd start to fall asleep. So I had to pause it, and I'd fall asleep, and then I'd wake back up, kind of rewind a bit, and then as I'm watching it, it puts me to sleep. Like this thing, I will say the best thing about Eternals is it's a great cure for insomnia. It's just, why did, what, this would have been better as even though I'm not a huge fan of a lot of the Disney Plus shows that the MCU has done, this would have been better as a Disney Plus show, because you can't just throw like all these people in this thing without any ounce of charisma or reasons to give me to care, and then just expect me to love all of them, because this movie does not do a good job of that. It's just, oh God, what a chore to sit through. And also, apparently DC movies exist in this world in some fashion, because they reference Superman, which is like, what? You're referencing the competition at this point? But I mean, well, to be fair, that has kind of been done before. Sam Raimi's Spider-Man did reference Superman. So I guess DC stuff exists as comics and TV stuff within the MCU, which is kind of interesting. So, or maybe there's a reason for that or whatever. I guess we won't get a crossover, but I mean, I'm okay with it, I suppose. But yeah, the MCU as a whole, I mean, Phase 4, what the hell happened? Just once Avengers Endgame hit, which is a film I'm not too hugely fond of myself. I'm kind of really like, outside of the final battle, I don't care much for that one. And I'm somebody who loves Avengers Infinity War. That's, to me, is my favorite film in the MCU. Just ever since then, they have not been able to recreate the magic of it at all. It just felt I feel empty. I feel like I don't recognize this world anymore. Maybe it's because Downey Jr.'s gone. Maybe it's because they try to oversaturate way too much and just keep pumping stuff out like crazy. It doesn't grip me like it used to. And I'm sure they'll do things to try and weasel people back, like for Avengers Secret Wars or the Kang Dynasty or whatever, because Kang's supposedly the next big threat of this phase of it, because a version of him did appear in Loki, and then he's supposed to be in this Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania thing, which I don't really have much hype for. I like the first Ant-Man. I don't like Ant-Man and the Wasp. I think that's one of the most pointless filler movies I've ever seen. But I'm hoping that this third one's actually good, but I've heard kind of mixed things about it in some ways, because it's more of a setup for other things, like a lot of these other things within the MCU. I mean, this film itself does try to stand alone for the most part, but it's still like like its connections in that aren't all that interesting. It's just kind of a mess of a movie. Yeah, there's some neat ideas about what it means to be, I guess, a god and that, but I've seen that explored in much better films. This one just, oh god, what a chore. What a absolute chore to sit through. It cuts back between present day and thousands of years. I think like a character or two dies, but I can't remember anyone's names, and I just don't care for any of them. Oh, what a snooze fest. What an absolute snooze fest. I mean, if you can be a bad movie, and I even find enjoyment in bad movies at times, but the worst crime you can be is a boring bad movie. And that's what The Eternals is to me. It's a boring bad movie that only made money because of the Marvel name. If you had no Marvel movie connections, MCU connection to this thing, nobody would have seen this thing. Nobody would have cared to have seen it. It's just a movie where I feel like I'm missing a lot of the story too, because they have like all these different characters sprinkled in throughout it. It's a mess. It's just it's just an absolute chore, and I'm just sad I had to sit through it. I don't have any plans to watch it again, because the worst type of bad's a boring bad, and I don't want to experience a boring bad. And I'm pretty much on Marvel burnout at this point. We've had so much stuff in such a short amount of time. We've done more in this current phase that we're going in, like post Infinity Saga, in a shorter amount of time. Like, there's more stuff to watch, I feel like, than like the 10-year build up to like Endgame and all that. It's just what are we even doing anymore? I want it to end at this point. I want us to just kind of get towards the end of it, but I know we're not going to. It's just going to keep going and going and going. It's part of the reasons I've kind of skipped out on some of the Disney Plus shows. I used to try and watch everything, but now I'm at the point where I'm like, I don't really care much anymore. Didn't watch Moon Knight, didn't watch Miss Marvel, and I absolutely have no interest to watch She-Hulk because it looks bad. Should I care? Do I want to go back and watch it at some point? I don't know. Why am I watching so much stuff when I just don't care anymore? And that's kind of where we're at with The Eternals. I just don't care about it. That's probably why I never did a video on it, because I probably fell asleep when I tried to record it and never uploaded it. I don't even know at this point, but yeah, so all this time later, Eternals is not very good. I say skip it, but I think most people generally did. And now that I'm done with Phase 4 in terms of the movies, I can move on to the next phase in Phase 5. So there you go. I'm not going to do videos really on the Disney Plus shows. I don't really see a reason to. Like I said, I skipped Miss Marvel, I skipped Moon Knight, and I skipped She-Hulk. So there's that. But anyways, if you have any thoughts on the Eternals as I'm falling asleep right here talking about it, post your comments down below. I hope everybody has a great rest of their weekend. Super Bowl Sunday should be fun. Lots of trailers and all that coming out. And look forward to the Valentine's Day special, which is coming out on Tuesday, and then more comic book stuff and all sorts of surprises coming up. So yeah, we got all that stuff to look forward to. All right, well, that's all I got to say. As always, take care now. Bye-bye then, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace.